GOP political strategist, co-founder of MustReadTexas.com, Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on the show with us today. Over the weekend, of course, you had the terrorist attack in Orlando, which overshadowed a lot of political news, which I want to get into some of the political news like Mitt Romney that got overshadowed because of what happened in Orlando. But Donald Trump is supposed to be giving a speech today in which he has teased before that he was going to hit Hillary Clinton and all the Clinton scandals. But now his team is adding foreign policy into the speech. Is that correct? And if so, what does Donald Trump need to do today to reach out to voters and Republicans?
Yeah, it looks like the speech will be late afternoon in New Hampshire. I think there is probably a connection between a national security worldview and criticisms of Hillary's record as Secretary of State. And so that would probably be the linkage that you could perhaps find in light of the events over the weekend. I do think this was intended to be and may remain a litany of controversies that Hillary and Bill have been involved in over the years. Trump has really demonstrated a willingness to go back to the 90s and raise questions about the Clintons that have been asked, for decades, whether it's things like Whitewater, the so-called bimbo eruptions that Hillary used to try to extinguish. So I don't know if it's going to go into that territory or if it's just going to be a little bit more current, talking about Hillary's record as it relates to Libya and Benghazi and just general foreign policy failures and connecting that to really not taking the terrorism threat seriously. What's interesting about Trump is I think that he does understand the American psyche fairly well, particularly at moments like this when terrorism happens. But he doesn't have this sort of self-control and self-discipline that's required in times like this when not everything is known right away. In this case, it appears maybe this is an ISIS-inspired situation rather than an ISIS-directed situation. But for Trump this morning to go on the morning shows by phone and kind of suggest that maybe Obama is not on the side of the United States, to me is a statement that just goes way beyond the pale of what's reasonable. You can criticize a lot about Obama, that he hasn't taken the threat seriously, that he won't specifically say radical Islamic terrorism. You can criticize policy decisions he's made, but to even go to that territory of suggesting that he's doing it because that he's not taking the threat seriously because he's not on the side of America, I think is really unprecedented from a presidential candidate.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, if let's say you were an advisor, which would be really funny, but let's say if you were an advisor to Donald Trump, would you advise him to give to hit Hillary Clinton on the on any of the controversies, or just focus on foreign policy in this speech and maybe wait to hit Hillary on all the other scandals later on? Just say, hey, look, I know I told you I was gonna this speech was gonna be about Hillary, but because of the events that happened over the weekend, we need to talk foreign policy. We need to talk terrorism right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, in a way, this really isn't the time for politics, right? This is the time. It's the time for national unity and national purpose. And you really hope that political leaders and political candidates rise to the seriousness of the moment. And it's not clear to me that Trump has a policy team, that he has a foreign policy advisory council that's engaged, that he listens. It's not clear to me that he has a real speech writing staff. So, he did give a good speech on Tuesday night, but even that wasn't all that substantive. It was a lot of sort of one-liners, and it didn't really go into a lot of detail. It would be nice if he could give a very serious and very thoughtful foreign policy, national security, speech. What are the threats as he sees them? What do we need to do that we're not doing? How does he view the world? How does he view American interests, and what is the threshold for for using the American military. I would probably agree with you if I were advising them. I think that this would be the moment for that. Or you might even wait a few days to see if there's more that's known about the situation in Orlando. But I don't know that he can control himself. I think Hillary going after Trump with that speech she gave in San Diego, whenever that was, last 10 days, I think that riled him up, and he's decided to take the gloves off and go after Hillary. And I think that's really what he wants to do. It's hard work, Chad, to make foreign policy decisions and choose between difficult options and write a very serious and very thoughtful speech that people are going to hold you to, right? If you come out and say specific things about foreign policy and national security, you're going to be held to that. Trump is one of these people that loves to have flexibility. It's why he uses ambiguous language all the time. He loves to have flexibility, and giving serious, thoughtful speeches does not give you flexibility.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Let's stay on the issue of Trump, but focus on Mitt Romney a little. Over the weekend, Mitt Romney, again, hitting Trump, saying that he could not vote for Donald Trump, said that Trump would bring in, trickle-down racism, trickle-down bigotry, trickle-down misogyny into the United States. For Mitt Romney, I guess, what is he doing? I mean, I understand he's not helping Donald Trump. Do you think he's hurting Donald Trump? Where's Mitt Romney going with all of this? Because he says he's not going to run third party.
Yeah, he's continuing to say he's not going to do it because he doesn't think it's possible to win. Look, I think he is deeply, deeply, deeply troubled by the Trump candidacy. I forget what he said. I think he said his heart is hurting or something like that.
Yeah.
About what this is doing to the country and what's doing to the Republican Party. Look, you can criticize Romney and say, look, you had your chance. You ran for president twice. You could have done better. You should have done better. I don't think he is trying to insert himself into the campaign at every opportunity. I think he's picking his moments. I mean, this is an annual summit of donors and supporters, political leaders from around the country that show up at his in Park City in Utah. So it was a previously scheduled event. It's not like he scheduled a TV interview and decided to blow Trump up. This is an event he was having. It was an interview segment with Wolf Blitzer from CNN for that retreat. So I think he's frustrated because on the one hand, what he sees he hates. On the other hand, the one thing he could do to really change the scenario is run. And obviously, the longer you wait to launch an independent third party, or really an independent, sort of almost write-in candidacy at this point, the harder it becomes. And I mean, he basically decided a few months ago this was too difficult and too impossible. So I think he feels trapped right now or handcuffed. And so he'll speak out from time to time. I do think he's hurting Trump, at least with the donor class. This is part of the reason why Trump is not going to raise $1 billion, and they're talking about now raising maybe $300 million, which would mean that Hillary would outspend Trump 3-1. So I do think Romney's hurting Trump, and Trump is certainly doing nothing to show that he's going to run a serious general election campaign. Right now, he's sort of stuck in primary campaign mentality.
Visiting Matt Mackowiak. Matt, what can folks find up on mustreadtexas.com?
Yeah, obviously some attention to the tweet the previously scheduled tweet that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick had on Sunday morning from Scripture. So we'll have a couple of links up from that, and obviously some Ted Cruz now back in the U.S. Senate, so he's filing legislation and doing different things. So we'll have a couple stories up about what he's up to as well. Yeah, you can find all the news and opinion from around the state of Texas at mustreadtexas.com.
Thanks, Matt. And for Patrick, that a badly timed tweet there, but not his fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Matt. Have a great day.
Take care. Have a great week. Take care.
You too. It's Matt Mackowiak.